Coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener, we're harvesting our fall turnips and rutabagas. And we're harvesting carrots out of a self-watering container. Let's find out if we made a good decision. And this will show whether or not you can be successful growing in containers or not. All that and more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. Yeah, you got leaves in the air. Let's see what other... Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is sponsored in part by, for all your non-GMO, organic and heirloom vegetable, flowers, and herb seeds, visit dollarseed.com. Sioux Growing Supply, located in Wausau, Wisconsin, focusing on certified leaf compost, an excellent amendment for poor soil, retains moisture and adds nutrients, which equals less watering. Available in labor-saver, pre-filled trays and pots, bag and bulk. Visit SiouxCompost.com. Organic fertilizer for the health-conscious organic home gardener. Family owned and operated. Visit thewiveggardeners.com. Don't poison your soil with municipal water. Attach a body, mind, and soil hose filter. Free shipping exclusively through the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Just click on the body, mind, and soil icon. Authentic Haven brand soil conditioner for the home gardener. Easy to brew. Visit ManureTea.com. No measuring, no thinking. Stamp it, plant it, stop plotting, start planting. GardenStamp.com. Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Barrett. It's late in fall and we're not planting in a container. I'm going to use this to harvest our fall turnips and rutabagas. We planted these using the garden stamp, spacing them very appropriately, as well as we top dressed the bed prior to planting with Sioux certified leaf compost. It's been about 65, 70 days on the turnips. The rutabagas will take about 90 days, but we are going to go ahead and harvest them now. They are of decent size because a freeze is coming. These will both handle a light frost or moderate frost or even 30 degrees for a short period of time. It's when you get into the hard, cold freeze, they do not withstand that. They'll die off once it gets really frozen in the ground. Some of them will come back next spring and do the whole biannual top thing on certain vegetables, but it's best to harvest them now. So what we're going to do is, no matter what size they are, some of these are purple top turnips and purple top rutabagas. Some of these are small, and some of these are really nice size. Now I'm going to harvest these, all of them, as I said, and then we're going to go into the kitchen, and Holly's going to show how we can preserve them and or how we can cook them. We had some of these earlier this week, and they were very good baked, so she will reveal those secrets once we get in the kitchen. But I'm going to go ahead and harvest all of these here. Beautiful bulbs on these. You can let these get as big as they will grow. You know, I've seen them as big as softball size, but keep in mind, the larger they get, the woodier and the tougher they will taste. So you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get this giant turnip or rutabaga. That's great, wonderful, but it's almost inedible. Get them when they're small, enjoy them, plant many of them, and you'll be much better off. There is a white globe turnip that we have not planted, but it does just as well. That one is too small to deal with. The turnip greens are edible. We're just going to go ahead, and we don't eat turnip greens, that's just the way we are. We're going to go ahead and cut the tops off and incorporate them into the compost beds in the garden here. All right, so we harvested all the rutabagas and turnips. We did cut the tops off. I know some of you are like, well, you wasted good greens. Well, we don't eat greens, so sorry. So what we're going to do with these is we're going to go in the kitchen. Holly's going to show us some of the ways that we can preserve the turnips and the rutabagas, as well as some of the ways that you can cook them and enjoy them, whether you get them from your garden or your local farmer's market or organic grocery store.
Okay, so now we're going to cook these root vegetables here, and I always cut the tops and the tail off, and then at this point what you want to do is you want to cube them or dice them, whatever you want to call it, into bite-size-ish pieces about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, so that because you're going to roast them. And the larger they are, the longer it takes to roast. So then once you get them cut into this size about, then you're going to put them in your bowl. And we're also going to add some sunchokes and some carrots, and I think there's a mix of rutabagas in here, and some, I think that's a radish. So I'm going to get these all cut up, and then we'll go ahead and show you how to season them for roasting. Okay, so now we've got everything cut up. We had some carrots in there as well, and we store these by putting them, after you harvest them for a couple of weeks, we put them in the stairs to our attic because it stays pretty cool with it being late fall. So now you're going to drizzle some olive oil over the top, and then you're just going to mix it up. You just want to evenly coat them so that they're covered in olive oil. That will help with the roasting process, and it will help with having the different seasonings that you put on here stick to them as well. So, and there's, I'd say maybe a tablespoon or so of olive oil added, not a whole lot. So then at this point, what you want to do is you want to put your seasonings on, and some people prefer different things. I have this mix here that has some paprika, some pepper, garlic, turmeric, and then a little bit of thyme and basil as well in there, and it goes well with these vegetables, nice and roasted. So I just give them a good coating and then mix it all in. And if I don't think that's enough, I can always add more, but you want to start with a little less before you get too overzealous with your spices. Then it's always good to add a little salt. You don't add too much, just a little bit, because it'll just help bring out the flavors of your vegetables. Now, this does cook for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So if you're making a meal, you probably want to do this first before you cook your other items or prepare your other items, because this will bake in the oven while you do that. All right, so now I put it on a parchment lined sheet here, and you just want to spread it around evenly. I'm actually using my pizza dish, which has holes in the bottom. I think it helps the roasting process. And then just spread it around pretty evenly, make sure it's flat. And then what you do is you preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and then you just go ahead and slide that in there. You check it after 30 minutes. If you can just put a fork through it nice and soft, then you know it's done. Some people will flip them, but since I do have my tray here, as you can see, it's got holes in it. I feel like the heat reaches them pretty evenly. So I'm going to go ahead and slide these into the oven. Okay, so now these are done. You can tell they're done because, as you can see, you just stick a fork in there and it's really quite soft. So you want to let it cool down a little bit. Just serve it with your rest of your meal, or you could eat it as a snack, and it'll be something that's delicious, came straight from your garden, and easy to make. So there you have it. What you want to do with your rutabagas, turnips, and pretty much any other root vegetable that you grow.
So we had one lone parsnip grow this year in our garden. We had a bunch of parsnips planted between the tomatoes in this large bed. This is what a parsnip looks like. Kind of maybe similar, has a look of parsley if you're not familiar with what a turnip top looks like. It's going to be a really white root like a carrot. It's going to have a nuttier flavor. They are harder to germinate than a normal carrot seed. They take about 100 days to reach maturity. And let's just dig this up and see if we can, one, get this out of the ground without snapping the root off, and two, what type of root that we have to enjoy. These can be cooked much like carrots, roasted. You can also can them, pressure can them. All right, let's see what I got here. All right, so much for the tops here. All right, well, should look like a carrot. It doesn't quite look like a carrot. This can be for a number of reasons. Too much nitrogen in the soil could be one of the potential reasons. But nevertheless, we had one grow. Now, you could leave this in the ground, and next year it will put on a top growth, and it will look much like a coconut tree big leaves or with a million little seeds. And that's, if you don't harvest the seeds at the right time, they can be everywhere and you'll have parsnips coming up all over the place, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But parsnip seeds will only last really 1 to maybe 2 years if you keep them in the proper storage container. So if you have parsnip seeds, go ahead and plant them year after year, use up your seed, and then you can save them or you can purchase more. But that's what a parsnip looks like. It should look like a giant long carrot, but nevertheless it will taste just as good. So we've got this container of carrots here. I'm with my niece Sarah. We're going to go ahead and harvest them. Holly planted this very early in the spring. We just broadcast the seeds in. We thinned them out as we had time. So I want to show, this is a self-watering container, I want to show that you can grow carrots in a container even if they're densely packed. So Sarah, let's go ahead and see. Yeah, let's go ahead and see what we get here. Look at that, Sarah. Little, I think these are rainbow carrots that we planted. Look at that little carrot. Yeah. You can put it over there. Here's a yellow carrot.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're not at...
Take that home.
You can take that home, right. So these are not as large as, well, you would normally find in the supermarket, but it shows that if you have a container on a porch, patio, or deck, look at the size of that white carrot, you can grow carrots. They take about 70 days. The tops are edible, not the greatest tasting things. But if you do store these, you want to go ahead and cut the tops off because the sugars from the carrots will start losing flavor and going into the top. So you want to be sure you remove those. Oh, look at that one. That's a good one. And you want to kind of wait, if you can, after a frost. They'll get a little sweeter. The saying has also been mentioned that you can put these in the freezer for about 5 minutes and it will mimic a frost or freeze and they'll get much sweeter. So we'll see. So you can do that as well. Here, you can put those back there. Why don't you do that? So we're going to go ahead and harvest all of these and kind of see what we have. And though they weren't thinned out as properly as the book says they should be, it still gives us a harvest of carrots of many different sizes that you can grow in a container. Yeah. So we harvested all of them in the self-watering container. Sarah's decided to go on about her business. So what I've done is I've went ahead and cut the tops off. Now we can store these in an airtight container in the crisper, and they'll keep for quite some time. With them being this small, they'll be very easy to eat and be kind of tender to cook with. If you have a really long one, that might be a little more of a challenge based on who you are and what you like. We got a variety of rainbow colors here. So the consensus is it will work in a self-watering container, in a container in general, with or without a bottom based on where you're growing. One thing you want to keep in mind is a light frost is fine with these. That'll make them sweeter. But if it's going to be a long-term freezing situation, you either want to bring the container inside, put it on a 3-season porch or somewhere where it's not going to get frozen, or harvest them, because after a freeze, we have found in our garden that they become just muck. When they defrost, they become slimy and mucky and you can't do anything with them and they're rotten. So carrots in a container, we're definitely going to do it again, as well as in traditional ground gardening. Thanks for watching. Join us next time for more organic gardening and food preserving. I'm Joy Barrett, and this has been the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
For more information, please visit thewwisconsinvegetablegardener.com.